Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the podcast. And today I'm going to give my review of Monday Night Raw. Starting off the evening, we have a Randy Orton segment. Randy Orton comes out to the ring, grabs a microphone. Orton says that he will be 15-time world champion. Orton then talks about Bash at Berlin. Orton then talks about Gunther. Gunther ends up showing up, grabs a microphone. He mocks Orton as well as the fans. The fans are chanting USA. Gunther then tells Orton that he will never, ever hit another RKO on him like he did last week. After that, Kaiser is here. Kaiser then tries to attack Orton, but Orton fights off the attack by Kaiser. But because he was distracted, Gunther ends up attacking Randy Orton, pretty much sending a message to Orton leading up to their match at Bash at Berlin. Moving on from that, we go into our first official match of the night. It is Pete Dunne versus Sheamus. I thought this was a good match, kind of a grudge match between Pete Dunne and Sheamus. It was a back-and-forth matchup. Sheamus was keeping the pace of the match. Sheamus then goes for a brogue kick, but Dunne counters it with an enziguri. Dunne then hits a powerbomb on Sheamus for a near fall, but Sheamus hits a brogue kick on Pete Dunne, pins him for the 3, and your winner of the match is Sheamus. Hats off to Sheamus for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night. It is Ivy Nile versus Maxine Dupree. This match pretty much came to fruition after what happened last week, when Ivy Nile attacked Maxine Dupree on the announcer's table. The match itself was a good match. It was a back-and-forth matchup with, Ivy keeping the pace of the match. But the lights go out. Sister Abigail shows up. Wyatt Six also show up as well. Wyatt Six then attacked the American Maid. And Uncle Howdy ends up attacking Chad Gable. Looks like there's some unfinished business there between the American Maid and the Wyatt Six. Moving on from that, we have a CM Punk segment. Punk comes out to the ring. Punk talks about WWE having a hot streak. He also praises the fans. He talks about fans approaching him at WWE's Fan Fest, if you will, for Fanatics. That was, I believe, in New York City. He said he was approached by a bunch of fans asking him why WWE is such a hot streak and how much, Punk means to the fans. And he says it's very important for the fans to give him praise, if you will. It keeps him going in his career. Punk then talks about McIntyre. Punk then says that it would be himself versus Drew McIntyre in a strap match and Bash in Berlin. After that, McIntyre shows up and McIntyre tells CM Punk that he accepts the strap match at Bash at Berlin. Definitely looking forward to that matchup between CM Punk and McIntyre in Bash in Berlin. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night. It's a 6-man tag team matchup. It is the New Day and Odyssey Jones versus Final Testament. I thought it was a good match, man. It was a back-and-forth matchup between the New Day and Final Testament, with the New Day keeping the pace of the match. Kofi then tags in Odyssey Jones. Xavier Woods looked pissed off when Kofi went to go tag in Odyssey Jones. Odyssey ends up hitting the finish, pins for the 3, and your winner of the match is New Day and Odyssey Jones. It looks like there's a little hostility there between Xavier Woods and Odyssey Jones. Moving on from that, WWE plays a tribute video package to the late great Alpha from the Wild Samoans. He ended up passing away, unfortunately. They played a great video package. That's one thing I always pride WWE on, man, is that when the legends or superstars that pass on, WWE does a great job celebrating the legacy of that individual, whether it's a woman on the roster or a man on the roster. And this was a great video package, man. You had Mick Foley praising Alpha and the Wild Samoans, and other people talking about what the Wild Samoans did, and Paul Heyman and stuff like that, and what they did for the industry and what they did for pro wrestling. And the Wild Samoans, to me, are one of the greatest tag teams of all time. And what they did in pro wrestling, man, was bar none. I mean, the things they did in the ring, the high flying stuff, and just the family lineage from the Wild Samoans, from Alpha and Sika, and what they passed down. And I mean this with all respect, and I'm not trying to have any kind of fun pun to this, but the bloodline. The bloodline, it's so strong with the Anawahu family, from, obviously The Rock, the Wild Samoans, to, you look at Haku, obviously a part of that bloodline. You look at what WWE is presenting right now with Jimmy and Jey Uso, Rikishi, obviously, Jacob Fatu, Roman Reigns, obviously, is a big-time, superstar, obviously, in WWE nowadays. Nia Jax. I mean, that bloodline is synonymous within professional wrestling, and it has a lot of praise to do with Alpha and Sika and what they brought to the table not only for the industry, but just for pro wrestling and the fans of pro wrestling. And, Alpha is going to be definitely missed. The Wild Samoans were a great tag team. A lot of memorable moments. But like I said, man, WWE, it's one thing I will always give them credit on is that they always pay tribute to the superstars that they've lost. And they show great video packages and pay a lot of good tribute to the superstars that do pass on. I remember when Bray Wyatt had passed on, they played a great tribute video to him. And that kind of went on for a couple of weeks because, obviously Bray Wyatt was a shock to everybody. And he made a humongous impact in WWE and just pro wrestling in general, just with what he's done in his career when he was in WWE. And, Triple H and what they're doing over there with WWE, paying these tributes to these, wrestlers that passed on, man, they just do a phenomenal job. And they always have. Whether, it was a man or a woman wrestler that wrestled for WWE, they always do great tributes to the superstars and legends that have passed on. And this was a great example of that, with the tribute video they had of Alpha and giving tribute to the Wild Samoans, man. I thought it was a great video package. And again, rest in peace to Alpha, man, from the Wild Samoans. Rest in peace and Godspeed. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night. It is Bronson Reed versus The Miz in a no disqualification match. This was kind of something where, this match was booked due to what happened between Bronson Reed and R-Truth. Bronson Reed has been on one hell of a destruction path for these past couple of weeks, man. He wants to make a name for himself. He wants to be the top dog, not only in WWE, but Monday Night Raw. And, his first victim, obviously, was Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins is going to be off the scene for a little while with the multiple tsunamis that Reed had landed on Seth Rollins. Like, Seth Rollins had a little bit of internal bleeding from those tsunamis that Bronson Reed landed off the top rope on Seth Rollins. And R-Truth was the next victim of that. And this is the reason why we get this matchup between Bronson Reed and The Miz in a no disqualification match. The one interesting thing I would say about this match, before the match even kicked off, you can see Adam Pearce and Miz backstage before Miz was getting ready to walk out for this match. And Pearce had asked Miz, do you really want to do this matchup? Because if you don't want to do this matchup, I can call this match off right now. And Miz, kind of looked at Adam Pearce and said, it's not only that I want to do it, I have to do this match. Because he doesn't have many friends in the business. And it was just it was a good match, man. It was a back and forth matchup between Reed and Miz. Miz was trying to do everything that he possibly could to beat Reed, but Reed was keeping the pace of the match. Miz then hits Reed with a chair shot. Reed then gets up, hits Miz with a trash can. It looked absolutely brutal. Reed then hits a Death Valley driver on Miz through a table, and then Reed hits a tsunami on Miz, pins him for the 3. And your winner of the match is Bronson Reed. After the match, Reed was going to hit another tsunami on the Miz, but he is interrupted by none other than Braun Strowman. Strowman returns, kind of has a shock and awe for Bronson Reed. Strowman obviously can match Bronson Reed, size-wise and strength-wise, bell for bell. So this is going to be a tough hill battle for Bronson Reed when it pertains to Braun Strowman. Definitely looking forward to that matchup between Strowman and Reed, hopefully in the near future. Moving on from that, we have another match. It was announced earlier that Dominic Mysterio wanted to have a match with Damian Priest, I guess to, dethrone Priest, if you will, or prove himself against Damian Priest. The match itself actually did not happen. Damian Priest comes out to the ring. He walks down to the ring, but he's attacked by the Judgment Day. Rhea Ripley comes out to the ring. She attacks, Rhea and Priest attack Dominic. Rhea then goes to hit her finish on Dominic through the announce table, but she's attacked by Liv Morgan with a chair shot. And like I said, this match ended up ending in a no contest. Damian Priest is watching on as Liv Morgan destroys Rhea Ripley by throwing her into the turnbuckle shoulder first, trying to re-injure that shoulder. Obviously, there's some unfinished business there between the New Day and the Terra Twins, if you will, between Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley. Definitely looking forward to that possible matchup between Priest and Ripley versus Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night. It's a triple threat match, tag team matchup for the Women's Tag Team Championships. It is Pure Fusion Collective versus Damage Control versus Isla Dawn and Alba Fire. It was a good match, man. It was a back and forth matchup with Pure Vision Collective keeping the pace. Kairi Sane and Shayna Baszler were both exchanged in the middle of the ring, but Dawn and Alba Fire hit the finish. Pins for the 3, and your winners of the match and still WWE Women's Tag Team Champions are Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. Hats off to Isla Dawn and Alba Fire for getting the win in this matchup. I think I got their names confused there for a second. But moving on from that, we go into the main event of Monday Night Raw. It is Randy Orton versus Ludwig Kaiser. I thought this was a good match, man. It was a back and forth matchup. Orton was keeping the pace. Gunther is here, but Orton hits a RKO on Kaiser, pins him for the 3. And your winner of the match is Randy Orton. After the match, Gunther gets into the ring. Orton and Gunther both exchange in the middle of the ring, pretty much leading up to their battle at Bash in Berlin. Couple things I want to talk about, man, about Monday Night Raw before I get out of here, man. Number one, was it a solid show last night? Absolutely, it was a solid show. And I want to apologize for the noise from the outside. You got some people working outside, so I do apologize for the echo or sound that you might hear in the background. It is absolutely annoying, and I do apologize for that sound, but here we are. Monday Night Raw last night was awesome. I thought it was a great show. Obviously, there's a lot of build, if you will, towards Bash in Berlin, pertainingly pretty much between Randy Orton and Gunther. I think it's a really good matchup, high-profile matchup, and I'm definitely looking forward to that championship opportunity for Randy Orton at Bash in Berlin. I think it's going to be a great match. Obviously, you had the Wyatt Six having unfinished business with the American Made, with Chad Gable and the Creed brothers. But the biggest takeaway, I think, from last night's Monday Night Raw was the new Judgment Day. It looks like they're trying to take over Monday Night Raw and pretty much erase, if you will, Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley from the scene entirely from Monday Night Raw, and they just want to run roughshod on Raw as a stable. And I will say this, man, I think the new Judgment Day are going to do well, but I definitely want to see what's going to happen with Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest moving forward. Are they going to stay as a team, as a Terror Twins, if you will? Who knows? Sky's the limit. But I think the biggest takeaway last night was the new Judgment Day and what they did by destroying and sending a message to Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley last night on Monday Night Raw. But again, man, it was a great show. It was from top to bottom. I thought it was a really good show. And again, man, the main roster is firing on all cylinders. I mentioned now for the past couple of weeks as I covered Raw and SmackDown, man, they're doing a fantastic job. And even though this is a Monday Night Raw review and this is about WWE, I will say this. Obviously, AEW has a very big weekend this weekend with All In. It's their biggest show of the year. And I've said this now multiple times now, that when it pertains to AEW, they need to hit one out of the park. They need to hit a grand slam at All In and hit the reset button because AEW needs it. Because right now, WWE is firing on all cylinders. Absolutely. They're doing a fantastic job with promoting their events. These PLEs are awesome. I'm very much looking forward to Bash in Berlin next week. It's going to be a great event, man, headlined by Randy Orton and Gunther for the World Heavyweight title, so I'm definitely looking forward to that. But with that being said, this is my review of Monday Night Raw. I hope you guys are out there staying safe. Be careful, and remember, stay classic. Peace.